Hi, everybody. Welcome. Happy Monday. I'm Pratibha Agarwal. I am an immigration attorney. I'm based here in Washington, D.C. Our clients are all over the United States, and we help folks with all types of immigration matters. And I come on here to provide answers to questions on mostly humanitarian cases. We talk a lot here about VAWA. We talk about folks, we help folks that have already filed a VAWA, that are thinking about filing a VAWA, maybe people that know others in abusive marriages that might learn about VAWA. So here's just an opportunity for folks, mostly it will be helpful to people that are undocumented or experiencing abuse in a marriage to learn about different options that might be available for you. Okay, and so put your questions into the chat. I will answer them best as I can. Just know what I'm providing is general information in order for me to really review your case and give you relevant information about your particular situation. We will need to have a meeting. We're doing free case evaluations right now for our VAWA cases. So this is a really incredible opportunity. We do not do this very often. We will only be doing it for a limited time. If you would like to schedule a free case evaluation, basically to see if you're eligible to talk to you about all of the steps in a VAWA case, the different processing steps, basically to determine if you're eligible, to talk about evidence that might be required, to answer any other questions you might have. Now is the time to schedule that free case evaluation. So you can give us a call at 703-348-1663. Again, 703-348-1663. My name again is Pratibha Agarwal. I am an immigration attorney. I'm based in Washington, D.C. Our clients are all over the country. We help folks with immigration applications, no matter where in the United States they are based. Remember, immigration is a federal practice, so your attorney can represent you as long as they're admitted in one state. They can represent you wherever you are located. So make sure you find the right fit, because sometimes these cases can take years. A VAWA case is taking 3 years, 4 years. We have had cases go significantly faster on a rare occasion. However, the general timeline for this is multiple years. So make sure the law firm and the attorney that you are working with is someone that you feel comfortable with. And it can be, you have your choice of anyone, anywhere in the country. So just keep that in mind before you make that decision. But we do help a lot of clients with VAWA. If you'd like to reach out to us for a free case evaluation, you can call us at 703-348-1663. Again, 703-348-1663. Put your questions into the chat. I'm going to mention again that this is general information, so we'll really need to talk to you to give you things that are specific to you, to give you information that will be helpful to you. So don't hesitate to put questions into the chat if you're wondering about something. But if you really want to know something about your specific case, call our office at 703-348-1663 for a complimentary case evaluation for your VAWA case. Share this with others if you think they might be experiencing abuse in a marriage and they're looking for options to obtain a green card or work permit in the United States. This may be something that is helpful to them. Great. Thank you all for joining. We're streaming live on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, and on TikTok. So you'll see questions coming in from all over the place. Hi, Priyesh. Thank you for joining. Kweku, thank you for joining. Lilia, thank you for joining. So feel free to put your questions in. And I have some questions that I wanted to talk about today as well. These are common questions that come up for VAWA applicants, and I hope that you will find this helpful to you as well. All right. So one of the most common things we see is we see people applying for a marriage-based green card. So they are jointly submitting a marriage-based green card with their spouse if they're married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder living in the United States, entering legally into the country. They're applying for a marriage-based green card. That marriage goes south. Maybe the spouse is controlling, is abusive, and perhaps even refuses to go to the adjustment of status interview. In this situation, you may be able to apply for a VAWA. So the question was, what if I was previously denied a green card? Can I still apply for a VAWA, right? What if I was previously denied for a green card? Can I still apply for a VAWA? So if your marriage-based application was denied, or perhaps even let's say your asylum application or an employment-based application was denied and you're eligible for a VAWA, you should still be able to apply for a VAWA. It will not, the previous denial should not impact you. Remember, we have to be truthful in all of our applications. So if there's an inconsistency with something that you previously filed, we want to figure out why that's there. And maybe you made a mistake before and you're correcting it now, and that's okay. We just want to explain to USCIS what happened, right? Or maybe your spouse, your abusive spouse may have filled out the jointly filed green card application and didn't fill it out completely, or left out a couple of kids, or whatever it may be. We can explain that now as to why that inconsistency existed, and you would still be eligible, most likely, right? Of course, everyone's case is different, but you should still be eligible to apply for a VAWA. So I hope that is helpful to you. My name again is Pratibha Agarwal. I am an immigration attorney. We help clients all over the United States with their immigration applications. And I'm here to talk to you about different options for those in the US that might be undocumented if they're looking to apply for a green card or work authorization or remain in the US legally. There may be humanitarian options that are available to you, and that's what we're talking about here. Our firm does work with all types of applications. So if you have other questions, don't hesitate to put that into the chat, and we will do our best to answer that for you. Okay? All right. Priyesh from TikTok says, I have finished my N400 interview on March 31st and also signed an oath of allegiance, but still no decision. If you have your oath, you should have gotten your naturalization certificate at that oath ceremony. So if there's no decision, perhaps something weird might have happened, right? It could be an administrative issue. You want to call USCIS to figure out what's going on. Another option is to reach out to your state congressman, a congresswoman, or your senator. They might be able to help figure out what's going on as well. So this is something that you can reach out to. You can call the office of the senator, look online, and often they have links where you can submit an inquiry on immigration. So that can be very, very helpful. So not just for this type of case, not just for citizenship, but if something doesn't seem right, then you can call USCIS, and you should also call your congressperson or your senator who may be able to help kind of move your case along. So keep that in mind. If we can help you, give us a call at 703-348-1663. Again, 703-348-1663. The other question that people ask often is, does filing for a VAWA affect my immigration status, right? Does filing for a VAWA affect my immigration status? So that question is slightly complicated. It depends on what immigration status you currently have. So for example, if you have a student visa, you filing for a VAWA along with the green card application, so along with adjustment of status, could be conflicting to your intent as a student. So remember, students are required to have something called a non-immigrant intent. So this means that you have to want to leave the country after completing your studies, after completing what you came to the US to do, which is to be a student. So that's required for a student visa. If you're already here in the US, everything was truthful, you did have that intent when you came into the US, and then of course, if you're filing for VAWA, you're most likely doing it based on marriage, is my guess, right? So you're filing for VAWA, you do get married, and you apply for a green card. Let's say it wouldn't affect your student status, right? You didn't do anything different. You didn't do anything contrary to what's required for your student status, assuming you were still a student, you went to school, you didn't work without authorization, all of those things. So as long as those things are part of your experience, then it shouldn't affect your student status. But when you file for adjustment of status, it's different. So if you file for a VAWA and a green card, that's something called adjustment of status. There you're telling the government, I want to live permanently in the US. So it doesn't necessarily affect your student visa, but let's say something happens with your VAWA application, I wouldn't recommend applying for another student visa, right? Because you've already now shown the government your intent to want to remain in the US permanently. And then now you're saying, okay, no, I don't. So you really want to explain, why that shift occurred. to USCIS, what you would want to know, what you would want to gather is really proof that you don't want to live in the US permanently, that you do want to return back to your home country, and that's why you're applying for a student visa again. So those are the types of things that could impact it. But let's say you're on an H-1B, for example, filing an adjustment of status application is fine if you're on an H-1B, because for H-1Bs, you can have the intent to remain in the US permanently, or you can have the intent to want to leave. So it is something called a dual intent visa. So having a VAWA and a green card application along with an H-1B isn't necessarily going to impact anything related to that H-1B. So I hope that helps answer some of your questions on that. Give us a call if we can help you with your VAWA. If you're thinking about filing, feel free to reach out to us. I want to mention again that we are currently offering completely free VAWA consultation. So we're calling them case evaluations. It's a full consultation. We're determining if you're eligible. We walk you through the process. We answer your questions. We talk to you about all of the fees that might be relevant and what it's like to work with our firm. So you can give us a call at 703-348-1663. Again, 703-348-1663 to get scheduled for this. My name again is Pratibha Agarwal. I am an immigration attorney based in Washington, D.C. Our clients are all over the country. We work on hundreds of these, and we are very experienced with all types of immigration. I can certainly help you file your VAWA application and represent you throughout the whole process for VAWA. Uday says, I have a pending VAWA for 18 months. I want to change attorney. That's possible. That's absolutely possible as well. What we do in those cases when clients reach out to us, what we do is review what was filed. We kind of look at it with an eye as to what would we have filed from the start, right? Maybe all of the evidence wasn't submitted. Maybe there are parts of the application missing, because sometimes we've seen people who have filed applications and they haven't filed for work authorization, or they haven't filed for travel authorization. Since this is all free, we want to make sure what is submitted is sort of as what we would have filed. If it is not, which is perfectly okay, we will supplement that application, maybe with a more detailed affidavit, maybe with some additional evidence, and apply for things that maybe the previous person that you worked with did not apply for and you are eligible for, right? Because most of the travel authorization, work authorization applications are free. So you should take advantage of them. Although I'm going to tell you, I do not recommend that folks travel currently with a pending VAWA and adjustment of status. I do not think you should travel internationally. Many clients have reported, not necessarily at our firm because we don't let them travel, but we've heard of cases where folks have left and they're not able to come back into the U.S. because DHS on the way back in has alleged that this is fraud, or tried to get them to sign something withdrawing their application. So it could be very problematic if you leave the country. We do not advise that you leave with a VAWA and a pending green card application, but we do still go ahead and file your advanced parole, which is your travel authorization. It is free. Let's say there's an emergency or something, and you know of the risks and you want to take that risk, at least you have the option to travel and attempt to re-enter, even though the chances of you being allowed back in are not good currently. So under this administration, okay? Give us a call if we can help you, 703-348-1663. Again, 703-348-1663. My name again is Pratibha Agarwal. I am an immigration attorney based here in Washington, D.C. We work with clients all over the country on all types of immigration applications. We'd love to work with you. We'd love to help you. So give us a call, 703-348-1663. If you haven't already liked us on whatever social media platform you are watching, make sure that you like us and follow us so you can be aware when I come on live. I've started coming on Monday morning. So keep an eye out for me if you would like to join me again in this conversation. If you think that others might find this type of information helpful, share this with them, right? It's very important right now under this administration that people are aware of their rights, aware of changes in the law. If you have current applications already filed, this type of conversation might help you stay on top of all of the changes, to stay on top of what your rights are if you don't already know. And if we can help you with any kind of immigration applications, we'd love to at 703-348-1663. Again, 703-348-1663. All right, let's see. Oh, sorry, I have a whole bunch of other questions here. How much time is it taking to approve VAWA these days? This is a great question. This is one of the most common questions that come up. How long is it taking to approve VAWA these days? So VAWA is taking about 3 to 4 years currently, right? So 3 to 4 years to be approved. There have been recent changes in the law which require interviews for VAWA cases. I shouldn't say require. Some VAWA applications will be called in for an interview to talk about the eligibility for VAWA, which includes talking about the abuse that the applicant experienced. So that's something that is newer, that has changed long-standing VAWA adjudication. So we want to help our clients prepare for that. So what we do is, meet with them, make sure they have copies of their application, that they review it, they notify us if there's anything that needs to be corrected at the interview, and that they have a good handle on everything that was submitted, because some of these things have happened long ago. Maybe they don't remember the exact address. They have to refresh their memory. So this is all part of our process to help our clients prepare for these new VAWA interviews that are coming up. So make sure that, if you are thinking of filing a VAWA application, that you're aware that this is a current change in the law. It may change again under a different administration, but this is currently what is happening. Okay. Chrissy says something about a prima facie. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Feel free to put your question in, and I'm happy to answer that for you. Okay. All right. So can I file for VAWA if the abuser is a U.S. citizen child, right? So can I file for VAWA if the abuser is a U.S. citizen child? That's a really good question. So as long as the abuser is at least 21 years old, if you have a U.S. citizen child, he or she is abusive towards you, again, all types of abuse will work for VAWA. So extreme cruelty, such as verbal abuse, threats, coercion, anything like that will count as abuse, even if there is no physical abuse. That's a very important thing to remember. So if you've suffered abuse, if your child is a U.S. citizen who's 21 or over, you might also be eligible to apply for VAWA. And most clients are also able to do a green card along with their VAWA application. So yes, absolutely, you can file if your abuser is a U.S. citizen child, depending on how old they are. You may be eligible to do VAWA and a green card as well. Okay, give us a call if we can help you. 703-348-1663. Again, 703-348-1663. Chrissy says, how long does it take after VAWA biometrics to receive a prima facie and an EAD? So how long does it take after you complete biometrics when you submit a VAWA application to receive a prima facie and an EAD? So remember, Chrissy, if you just submit a VAWA, right? Most people submit a VAWA and an adjustment of status application. So if you just submit the VAWA has to be approved for you to get the EAD based on an approved VAWA. So that could take 3 to 4 years. Okay, but most people do a VAWA and a green card because they're eligible for something called adjustment of status. And they can apply for a VAWA and a green card. So along with that adjustment of status application, you can apply for work authorization. So that work authorization that is tied to the adjustment of status application, that takes about 7 months. So if you're eligible for adjustment of status, we highly recommend that you apply for that as well, because your work permit will come much sooner than if you had just applied for a VAWA. But just remember, you have to be eligible in order to apply. If you are in removal proceedings, USCIS does not have jurisdiction over your adjustment of status application. So the process is going to look a bit different for you. You will have to have removal proceedings terminated before you can apply for adjustment of status through USCIS. Okay, so keep that in mind. For prima facie. So prima facie, for those of you that don't know, is a kind of like a pre-approval for your VAWA case. All right, so it's kind of like a pre-approval. So they look at your application and they confirm, hey, this person has submitted evidence. On its face, it looks like it's approvable. There's evidence of a good faith marriage. There's evidence of abuse. There's evidence of shared residence if they've lived together during the marriage, right? They are not evaluating every piece, like very, very carefully at this stage. They're looking at it and they're determining on its face, is this application approvable? So getting a prima facie is an awesome first step because yes, they've already determined this is approvable, meaning you have evidence for all of the different eligibility requirements. It's awesome to get that because it's a great first step in ultimately receiving a VAWA approval. So how long does that take? That actually has been just coming in a few months, and often for our clients, it's coming before the employment authorization document. So within 3 to 4 months, we are getting this prima facie determination. So if you haven't received it, I would go back and look at the application to see, is there something that you might have left out? Like, what are the eligibility requirements? Have I submitted everything to kind of check off all of the boxes for everything that's required for a successful VAWA self-petition? You may have submitted it, or you may have been missing parts, and we are sometimes seeing the government wants additional evidence on a specific requirement, right? They want a little bit of additional evidence on abuse. They want a little bit of more evidence on the fact that the couple actually lived together during the course of the marriage. So they will ask for that. So it doesn't mean if you didn't submit all of it, it's still okay. They'll come back and ask for it. Sometimes, there have been cases where we've submitted significant amount of evidence and we still get a request for evidence. It's just there are lots of different USCIS officers, and some of them want to issue requests for evidence. So we go back and we explain to them how what we submitted qualifies, or we also add additional evidence if it's available from the client. Okay, I hope that is helpful to you. My name again is Pratibha Agarwal. I am an immigration attorney based in Washington, D.C. We help clients with all types of immigration cases. I'm here to provide information about different humanitarian options. Today, we're talking about VAWA. We handle a lot of VAWA cases and file for VAWA and green cards for most of our clients who are eligible. Give us a call if we can help you. We're currently completing absolutely free case evaluations for VAWA. So that's limited. We will not be doing that for a long time. They are currently with me. You can reach me at 703-348-1663. We will talk about whether or not you're eligible. We'll talk about the whole process for VAWA and any other questions you might have, any concerns you might have. We will try to address them, and this will be specific to you and your situation because it'll be one-on-one. We do them by phone, by Zoom, or in person if you would like to come in. We are charging for in-person consultation. So if it's in person, there will be a fee, but if you want to do it by phone or Zoom, it's absolutely free right now for VAWA. So keep that in mind. Excuse me. My name again is Pratibha Agarwal, 703-348-1663. If you have friends who might find this information helpful, please share this post with them. And if you haven't already liked or followed or subscribed to our channel on YouTube, please go ahead and do that, because you will then be notified when I'm on here again, and we can have, when I'm providing more information about immigration. Stay on top of what is going on with immigration because it is changing rapidly, and it's really important to know how your case might be impacted. Okay. All right. Armand says, my case is in Virginia. Will the judge grant the continuance because I have a VAWA receipt in hand, right? That's a good question. So Armand is in removal proceedings, has filed a VAWA self-petition. It looks like this has been receipted. So this is basically a notice that comes from USCIS that says we have your case. They give it a number, and it's proof that a case has been filed. So the judge should grant a continuance. It depends on the judge. So some will be willing to do it. Others may not be so willing, and you can also, one of your forms of relief in immigration court can be something called VAWA cancellation of removal. That is different from filing VAWA with USCIS. So keep that in mind. That's something you want to talk to your attorney about. I would 100% recommend using an attorney for removal. If you're in removal proceedings, I would 100% recommend using an attorney. So please make sure if you can find someone. There are many nonprofits that will also do this, especially in our area, Armand. Look for a nonprofit if you can't find a private attorney. Obviously, a private attorney is likely to be more available and more reachable because nonprofits are often flooded with many people that want to work with them. So, but there are some fantastic ones in our area. And, I'm sure there are many in different parts of the US. So if you are in removal proceedings, consider strongly reaching out to nonprofits, maybe even legal clinics at different law schools that can help represent you in your removal proceedings. Okay, if you can't afford a private attorney, but obviously a private attorney, there's a benefit to having a private attorney as well. All right, give us a call, 703-348-1663. Again, 703-348-1663. My name again is Pratibha Agarwal. I am an immigration attorney. We help clients all over the country with their immigration applications. All right. Let me take one last question, and then I will have to wrap up for the day. Okay. All right. I have one DUI. Will it affect a VAWA pending case? So I have one DUI. Will it affect a VAWA pending case? So one of the requirements for VAWA is something called good moral character, right? So all applicants need to show that they are people of good moral character. So having a DUI doesn't necessarily impact your VAWA case, but you do want to show, what was the situation, right? Maybe this is part of the abuse. So if it is, then you explain that in your affidavit. If you have an otherwise clean criminal record, show that to the government. That should be part of your application. If you have no other charges, that's also very helpful to you. And also, show how you're looking to remedy any issues that may have resulted in the DUI, right? So if you stop drinking, if you are getting some kind of treatment, if you're seeing a therapist, all of this can be helpful to you. But also look for other things that show that you have good moral character, like you're paying your taxes, you are contributing member of society, you're working, you are taking care of your children, you're doing all these things to create a really good life for the people around you, and that you are giving to the community. So these are things that show that you are a person of good moral character. So it's very important that that's also documented and shared with USCIS, and they will take that into consideration in determining whether or not you satisfy the requirement of good moral character. So one DUI shouldn't impact your application if you can show that, you can show all of these other things to show that you qualify for a VAWA. Okay, give us a call. If we can help you, you can reach us at 703-348-1663. My name again is Pratibha Agarwal. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope everyone has a wonderful and productive week. If we can help you with VAWA, we're doing absolutely free case evaluations right now. We're doing this for a limited time. We will stop very soon. We're not going to continue this for a long time, but feel free to reach out to us if you want to get on our calendar. We have some spots available, not this week, but perhaps for next week. Again, you can reach me at 703-348-1663. If you want to hang out, learn more about different types of humanitarian options that might be available to you, like us and follow us, subscribe to our channel on YouTube. I will be on again next Monday, where we are constantly providing information about these types of cases that might be helpful to you, especially in this era of fear when it comes to being an undocumented immigrant in the United States. So we are here to help support and help find a way to help you get status if you are eligible. All right. Share this with others. Follow us, like us. Thank you so much for joining. It's been my pleasure to join you today. I'm located in Washington, D.C. but we help clients all over the United States. If you want to schedule a Zoom or a phone evaluation, you're welcome to do that. Call our office. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. And I will see you again very soon. Have a great week. Bye.